Hey YouTube, Bearded Bristol back with a little scotch for the common man, and what a great night for a little scotch it is. We are in the midst of our first snowfall of the winter, along with just a shade of freezing rain and drizzle, which just makes it a delightful night to not go anywhere. Anyway, I have something a little different going on tonight, but as you can see over my shoulder here, we got Johnny Red, we got Dewars, we got a little Monkey Shoulder, we got an unopened box of Chevis, a little Clan McGregor, some McClellan's Highland Single Malt, and next to that is a bottle of Aberlour 12-year-old Single Malt. I know ordinarily I do blends, but tonight we're doing a Single Malt, and here's the story. Last Saturday, I hosted a little holiday open house at my home and had, in the neighborhood of 50 to 60 people roaming through the house. And I provided all of the liquor and the beer, most of it very generic stuff. But for me in particular, and for you guys, I decided to pick up a nicer bottle of scotch, something that I could sip on slowly and enjoy the evening. Well, through the course of the evening, I had some other friends who drink a little bit of scotch that nearly decimated the bottle. So that said, unlike my usual videos where it's an unopened bottle, this one is all but gone be. Nevertheless, I'm going to tell you I also had two friends who swore that they hated scotch. I made them sip on this. They're both bourbon guys. One of them drinks a lot of Crown, occasionally some Jack and Jim. The other one likes his Jim more than anything, but also enjoys things like Ezra Brooks and so forth. So I made them try a little bit and actually turned the tide. They said if all scotch tasted like that, they would drink scotch more often. So keep that in mind if you yourself are a bourbon fan. But let's get after it. So as I said, this is an Aberlour 12. It is a Highland single malt, double cask matured, 12-year-old, as I said. It is 40% alcohol by volume, and this one ran right at $40. As I say, in the interest of full disclosure, you can see there's not much left to do a tasting with. But nevertheless, I'm going to read you the bottle here. It says, this 12-year-old Aberlour has been matured in two cask types, traditional oak and sherry oak casks. Especially selected every year, they are filled with whiskey and quietly aged for a minimum of 12 years. Then the casks are married together. Now, that's fairly descriptive, but the one part that stands out and makes me smile is that they were quietly aged. I don't know if that means they turned down the music. I don't know if it's normally very loud where they age their scotches, but that one made me smile. Anyway, traditional oak casks encourage the subtle character of Aberlour to develop, whilst sherry oak casks add hints of ruby gold color and a deep and rich flavor to the whiskey. A perfectly balanced single malt with notes of fruits and spices. All right, so that's the story. I myself am a pretty big fan of Highland scotches, generally speaking. And if you aren't familiar, there are 7 regions of Scotland that produce Scotch, and Highland is just one variety of those 7. You might also have heard of things like Islay, Lowland, things like that. So anyway, that's just a little bit of a background, but in true single malt fashion, this one has an actual cork versus the normal screw top that I've been joking about anyway. But like I say, this one's already been tasted by me, so I already have a preconceived notion, but I'm going to try to do it justice. And I'm going to swirl this around a little bit, because again, usually the bottle is full. I will say the hints of sherry are very apparent when you nose right out of the bottle. You can pick up some of the spiciness that was described. And it's almost, I think there's maybe a little bit of pear involved there, at least, in the initial nose. But let's put a little bit in our glass and see what's up. All right, so we've got about an ounce and a half here. It does coat the glass very well. In fact, it's really not receding at all in the least. I wish you were able to see that even with my HD camera. It's just tough to pick up. Now, out of the glass, again, that sherry is very apparent. The pear that I thought I was picking up earlier is less up front. There it is a little bit, but now I'm picking up more of that spice that was described on the bottle. Yeah, that's very good. And I'm going to tell you, this is at room temperature, but it goes, it's very cool on the tongue, especially initially. Now, here we are 15 seconds later. The tongue is warming up, the throat is warming up. It feels good all the way down. There's very little of that Scotch burn that we refer to a lot, especially with blends. And it does coat the mouth well. Despite the sherry that's in the nose, you don't pick up so much of that in the actual flavor. It is a little peppery or spicy, and that seems to be hanging around particularly in my cheeks right now. Picking up maybe a little bit of a toffee actually now on the palate. And again, it doesn't burn, despite the reference to the traditional oak casks. It's not particularly smoky, which is a little bit odd in my opinion. But it's the smokiness tends to turn a lot of non-Scotch people off. So in that sense, it's a good icebreaker. It's good for people who are not devout Scotch drinkers. Yeah, as I swish it around in my mouth, that fruit is very much more apparent, and yeah, now I'm definitely feeling a little more of that toffee. All in all, it's just a very smooth single malt. Again, nothing offensive here that I can think of. Certainly not my favorite single malt, but this is something that, again, I bought kind of because I knew it would have appeal across a broader audience. But this is something that I personally would probably purchase in the late spring or early summer, whereas this time of year I prefer something a little heavier, a little smokier, something that's got a little more of that Scotch style burn to it. But this is a very pleasant, relaxing Scotch. There's a lot of different flavors here. I wish I was more dynamic to be able to pick them out. But it's certainly got an awful lot to offer, and especially for a $40 price point on a single malt, not too shabby, and should be something that will satisfy a lot of folks, even the non-Scotch drinkers. So, with that, I'm going to close this one down. Wish you all a Merry Christmas and or Happy Holidays. Wearing my Santa Claus tie, circa, I don't know, probably about 1986, but it's in great shape. I love my holiday ties, but Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, Happy Hanukkah, all of those holiday happiness things. If you get a chance, get a nice bottle of Scotch and enjoy some this holiday season. And take care of yourselves, drink responsibly, and remember, if it's not Scottish, it's crap! Have a great night. We'll talk to you again soon.